I'd like to speak about the Franciscan view of creation. You know, when St. Francis was young, he had an innate appreciation for creation. If you've ever been to Assisi, there's a beautiful view from the town, and so that in itself would stimulate Francis. Now, I can look back on my life, and I worked as in a sawmill, and so when I would go and so-called appreciate creation, I would just look at the trees and wonder how many 2x4s or 6x6s I could get out of the tree. But obviously I've changed from that experience, and I give a shout out to my good friend C.A. who helped me to appreciate creation. But as Francis, journeyed in his spiritual life, he began to see things as being created by God. So it brought a deeper sense to creation. But then he began to see a personality trait of God in creation. So we can think of the majesty of the mountains. We can think of the solid foundation when you're standing on top of a mountain. We can just even look at the sun itself, and we can be reminded of the Son of God and the light that Christ has brought into the world. But then Francis went a little deeper than that, and he began to witness the presence of Christ. And a good example is in Psalm 22:7. It speaks about, "I am not a man, I am a worm, despised and despicable." And so Francis would think of the crucified Christ each and every time that he thought of a worm, and so he'd remove the worms from the trail so they wouldn't get trampled by the horses. Now, I recall Friar Kevin and Louis would often grab the worms off the asphalt and throw them into the compost heap. So reminding us of Christ. And then we can also think of, just as Francis did with the leper. Initially Francis is repulsed by the sight of a leper, but then he begins to see the image of the crucified Christ in that leper, and that what a delight it is to serve that leper as I would want to comfort Christ in any way. And so may we allow creation to allow us to see that God is our creator. God is present to us in many different ways. Now, creation reveals the personality of our God. What a gift it is to be alive, to be in the presence of God's goodness.